In this mini episode, I'm just going to be reacting to Louis Theroux Into the Manosphere. Really good documentary. I'm a massive Louis Theroux fan, and it's nice to see him getting on Netflix. Loads of people are talking about it. It's kind of hit the zeitgeist a little bit. So that's great to see. And I think overall it is really good. But I think it is lacking one big thing, and it's a big problem with the documentary. And I never thought I'd say these words, but it's lacking Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, he is mentioned several times throughout the documentary, but Louis never got access. And he tried to get access behind the scenes. Apparently Andrew Tate was requesting money to be on camera. And he was also saying that Louis isn't relevant anymore to interview him, which I don't know if that's true. But yeah, it's really strange that Andrew Tate isn't there, even though he is referenced all the way through. And in some ways, he's kind of the head of the snake. And if Louis is trying to sort of, shine a light on these people, these kind of male influencers, he's kind of the top dog that you need to try and take down. And the fact that he's not in there at all, on camera at least, does feel like the documentary is missing something. And I was thinking about this. It kind of reminds me of some of Louis' past work. And there was one particular documentary where Louis was trying to get access to Michael Jackson whilst he was still alive. He was trying to get access to Michael Jackson, but he couldn't get him. And he still made a documentary about trying to interview Michael Jackson. And he interviews, I think, his manager. He gets a really interesting interview with his dad. But it's a really weird documentary because the whole thing's about Michael Jackson, but he never interviews Michael Jackson. And it just reminds me of this. This whole documentary feels like it's about Andrew Tate and how he's kind of influenced other men to become influencers themselves and, kind of follow his playbook. And the fact he's not in it feels like the Michael Jackson thing. You've done a whole documentary kind of about one person, but not interviewed that one person. I think all it needed was a moment where Louis tries to go to wherever it is Andrew Tate is right now. I think he's in Romania or somewhere, isn't he? Just go there, go to his compound or wherever he lives, try and get access into the house, ring the doorbell or whatever. And then, obviously he probably wouldn't be let in. But just that attempt on camera could have made for a kind of spicy ending to the whole documentary and kind of capped it off nicely. The fact that there's no attempt in there feels strange. It does feel strange. And again, as a sort of long-time Louis Theroux fan, this feels very familiar because another documentary he did in the past was his Scientology movie where he didn't get access to Scientology. So the whole film is like interviewing the kind of peripheral Scientology members or ex-Scientology members, but never quite getting access to the Scientology organisation themselves. But the one thing his Scientology movie did do differently was that moment where he tries to go to a Scientology compound and they don't let him in. And it's probably the best bit of the documentary, seeing how one of the actual current Scientology members is batting him away and trying to get him to go. So I think that's what this is missing. It really needs that one final attempt at the end where he tries to get that interview. It's such a shame. I think what is good though is this does seem to have captured the public's imagination. I'm seeing a lot of posts about it. I don't know if it's just my algorithm is suggesting it to me because I like Louis Theroux. But people are talking about this. People at work have spoken about this. It's kind of having that water cooler effect. And that's really good. Because as I'm sort of comparing, the documentary to Louis' previous work, there's something else I've noticed with Louis where he'll often be way ahead of the culture on quite a few things. So even just very specifically, Tiger King. Tiger King was this massive hit on Netflix. But 10 years previously, Louis Theroux interviewed Joe Exotic, who's the main star of Tiger King, along with Carol Baskin. He interviewed him 10 years before Tiger King came out. But for whatever reason, it didn't take off in the same way that Tiger King did. And there's been a few other instances like that. You know, like the Michael Jackson documentary again. Around the same time, Louis is trying to get access to Michael Jackson. I think his name is Martin Bashir. He got access to Michael Jackson and did the kind of infamous like documentary. But Martin Bashir got that scoop where Louis was trying to get it and just missed out, and then that massively took off the Martin Bashir interview and became like very infamous. Whereas Louis' documentary, you don't really hear many people talking about it. There's been quite a few times where he's been ahead of the game, but someone else has kind of swooped in and stolen his thunder. But this feels a bit different. This feels like people are actually taking notice of it, and it's really good because my initial impression after I watched it was, yeah, it's really good, and it does kind of show up some of these people a little bit. But the people that need to watch it probably won't watch it, which is teenage boys. Like, we need teenage boys to watch this and to kind of see some of the contradictions on show with these kind of male influencers. But they won't watch this. You know, this is going to pitch much older. But then the sort of positive side of that was when I started realising, oh, the parents of like teenage boys might end up watching this. And if that kind of starts getting people thinking, you know, what are our kids watching on their phones? Maybe that will help. And like, obviously we had Adolescents this year as well, or sorry, last year, that was very much about this subject matter. So maybe people start to wake up to it and kind of go, right, we need to keep an eye on like what our sort of teenage sons are watching on the phones. But yeah, I'm not sure I saw like the slam dunk moment where these guys got took down, which is unfortunate. But then, to be fair, like I already knew a bit about these guys. Like I've kind of heard of them through podcasts and stuff on YouTube. But a couple of people I've spoken to in real life weren't as aware of what these guys have been saying, and they were actually quite shocked by what they saw of the documentary. So that's kind of important to remember. Like, you know, I'm in a bubble where I've heard of these guys and I know the kind of things they say, but a lot of people won't be. So it could be a good thing. It could be a good thing. And just from an entertainment value, it was fun to watch. It was like an exciting, interesting documentary. And I was cautious about Louis going on to Netflix rather than BBC, but if it means we get more documentaries and they're this, you know, length as well, it's like a feature-length documentary, but I'm all for it. You know, keep them coming, Louis. I like the podcast, but I like the documentaries way more. Like, keep making the documentaries, please. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what the reaction, you know, does. Like, does this start to, you know, reveal these guys a bit more? I don't know. We'll have to see. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.